How you doing, everyone? Well, haven't we got a fun video? First things first, guys, just do not panic. Obviously, coming off the fallout of yesterday afternoon's TLT, there's going to be a lot of changes that people are making in their teams and the like. Really, just look at a couple of guys that you think that are definitely going to be out, and there's also a lot from this team list that may not come to fruition. Considering I think 3 of the guys we're going to look at today are not even in the top 30 at the moment. They're not even in the NRL fantasy game, right? So that's something to note. They're coming to these trials. Second thing, guys, is that usually we see in the 2 preseason games there that the first week is usually all filtered for New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup, all the reserves, right? And then the second one is usually a bit of a audition, right, for the first team, and usually is very, very close. And I said that yesterday, and I feel like for the most part that was correct information. But secondly, there are a few things that just definitely won't be happening. And you look at like the Dolphins bench, for example, and they've got 2 outside backs on there, Kurt Donahue, which is, you can be a middle, a 9, half, a bit of everything, right? And then 1 forward on there. And Lemuelu's not in there. Cody Nikorima's not in there. There's a lot of different things that are happening, right? And very, very unlikely that that's the team coming into round 1, because they basically, they had 1 forward as a rotation guy, and the rest are going to do what? I'm not exactly sure. So things like that are something to note, that we're not exactly sure what's going to happen with like the Aken situation. We've got Kane Bradley, who's come from the clouds. There was a little bit of whispers on him, but not too much in that sense. So just be aware of all that stuff. And if we do happen to lose things, it's going to be in the edge position at the moment, with like a edge middle with Curran. Obviously there you've got Blore potentially being out. Pierre Kura is touch and go. It looks like he's either going to go get on that plane to Vegas, or he's going to be out for that round 1. But there's obviously a few things to worry about his knee and his ability to step off that and all the rest. But I think it's $399K. Like if he's there in round 1, I think we just select him anyway. But we're going to go through a bunch of players here, guys. But I just wanted to start with that because there's lots of different strategies that you can go for. Obviously potentially going cheap. If Jamin Salmon was to get the starting 13 position, he'd be an edge middle dual, which would be cool. Kane Bradley, if he was starting as well, and Blore wasn't, the Bellamy didn't think Blore was ready yet, then Kane Bradley could be an option. He's going to get the edge position as well if he was in that starting team. So there's a couple of edges there that are cheap. That means you could spend up in other positions. You could, with Blore not being there, you could go for a Harry Grant very comfortably now and not have to worry about having sort of 3 or 4 in that first round 4 buy for him. That's something to think about. You got Cam Murray's, the Payne Haas's, the Scott Sorensen's now somebody you can go up to in the edge. We love that, man. That's for sure. But Sean Lane is obviously an option as well. So there's lots of different guys you can go up to. There's lots of guys you can go down to, most likely, if these are the type of team lists they're going to be named in that first week for him. Obviously as well, guys, to not panic in there as well. It's around that first team list that we get, the two games that are going to be announced, is that just try to lock in guys from those teams, put them in your starting 13, and that's going to be very, very helpful going into the next team list, when if a lot of things change and a lot of things are different from the team list from what you want them to be, then you can move things around very, very comfortably. And if you haven't probably overloaded in teams from that first 4, which is my plan, not to overload too much, and then you have basically the whole flexibility to change as much as you want to following the second lot of team lists on that Tuesday, and then you've got that couple of days to sort it all out, analyze it, and change your team around, which is going to be very, very helpful, obviously, there. So, don't stress too much, guys. Everyone's in the same boat, as I said. No one's played a match yet, so everyone gets to change their teams as much as you do, and can be panicking as much as you do as well. So, don't stress on that. And let's just jump into a bunch of plays now who I haven't been able to touch on since we've found out further news. So, obviously, Lucy Leilua, not named in this trial. He's gone, basically. I don't know where he's going to go, but that's going to affect another team. It's not going to affect Helm Luki. So we obviously have a career average for him, guys, in 44 minutes of a 34.5. So you're looking at that and going, that's pretty solid. It's a 0.79 ppm. If you extrapolate that out to 80 minutes, then we're clearly in the 50s, which is great. But priced at 36, that's lots of value, right? Almost up towards that 20 points of value. I definitely don't expect him to play the 80 minutes. So let's just go to over 40 minutes for him and just see what that comes out to. So a 57-minute average for 40 points gives him 4 points of value. So in that sense, you do need him to play well over 60 minutes to get the 10 points of value. You're looking at closer to the 65 minutes, right? Based on that PPM. Obviously, there's a chance for him to improve and stuff, but let's just go the bare basics that he is just going to get exactly what you're looking at with the current PPM, because that does include some really bad games. Like he had a 13-point game in round 12 there after his 84, which is absolutely incredible that he went double try, no missed tackles, 6 tackle breaks, 21 tackles, 0 misses for 22 tackles into 8 misses the next week. So you're going to have the ups and downs with Helm luki. He has scored 6 tries in his career, 7 tries in his career so far in the 20-odd games, just over 20, whatever that is there. And obviously a damaging ball runner. For the time that he's on the park, like a lot of the time he's not over 100 meters, which is annoying, and tackle numbers are at 25 with a couple of misses per game. So you can see there he's not very regularly going into that 8 mark. But that was a wild time of year for the Cowboys, for Reece Robson, for all these types of guys as well. So that's something to note there. If he does get over 50 minutes and he's up to a 42 in 60, again, that's 6 points of value, 6.5 anyway, which is getting into better territory, but he definitely doesn't come without risk, that's for sure. Under 500k is a win. Obviously, you're not paying near the 600 mark or something like that, where you got that little bit extra money to spend elsewhere. I'm not personally super excited about it because I don't think he plays 80 minutes, but you do see here, he has done it once in his career and he picked up a 60 with a try. He has a bunch of 70-minute games. Let's go to the over 60s now. And when he plays 69 minutes, and that's 7 games that he's played there, he's at a 55.6, because the more time that he's on the park, the more chance he does have for those attacking stats. He obviously has that double, and he has a couple of single tries as well. A 33 in 64 minutes is the low there, and 42 in 69 as well as the secondary. But every other game on top of that, the other 5, he's gone over 50 and gets his tackle breaks and has decent run meters, with his lows being 54 and a 68. So plenty to talk about with Helm. Obviously gets a run all the way through to round 16, which is pretty cool as well. Their run to start the year isn't anything of craziness. They split round 4 and round 8 with the Broncos and the Panthers. So yeah, look at Helm. I'm not 100% in on him, but he's definitely an option. If we happen to hear like Piakura's out till like round 3 or 4 and there's a lot going on, then he's definitely someone that most people will look to slot in their sides. But I think you potentially get some good scoring out of him. It'll be volatile. Could be some low, could be some high. But you could get some good scores out of cheaper guys as well. So that's something to note with Helm there. You and Aken guys are 549. So if he does get this edge spot, and Lemuel is nowhere to be seen, he's out of favour. He's not looking good after his knee injury, even though on the weekend he came back. Like, all I was looking for on the weekend with Lem was that he looked solid coming back from his knee and didn't care what happened on the park. And he made good runs. He got tackle breaks. He got a try as well. So that was all gravy on top. So I'm not sure if Aken's going to actually get the position, but if he does, right, then we know what he can score at centre. So he averaged 40 at centre last year for the most part. Played a couple of games at the end at second row where he did really well and got one game I should say, where he got 66, and it was one off the interchange. He came on and played edge as well, I believe, that 43 in the 61 minutes. So we change this to second row, guys, and you've got all games except for a 13-minute game, so we'll get that out of the way. And he's averaging a 51.7 in his games in the last 3 years at edge. So if he makes this team, he's a must-have. To have 10 points of value in the center position and potential to get a 50 score out of him, everyone will own him, and he's only 2.4% owned right now. So we'll see what happens come TLC. But I suppose at this price, guys, you've got a few options. You can go up a little bit to Penasini. You've got Aken in there. You've got guys like Hammer, obviously at a similar price there. You've got Simonson, Jesse Ramian. There's a lot of different guys around this price. So if he doesn't happen to get named in those team lists, you can pivot really easily. So if you go him and a bench Boyovich, that could be really, really simple for you to move around. But if he gets that spot, and I suppose the worry there is Lem on the bench. So there's plenty to sort of think about with Aken. But yeah, that's if he's got the spot by himself, then happy days. Go to Cam Bradley now, guys, and he's still not in the game. As I said, he's at 3,347 price, which is beautiful. Does have a tough draw to start, so you're obviously relying on him to be able to get a fair few defensive stats, and you're looking at the games that he's played. He's actually played a couple on the wing for the Cows. Wow, I actually remember that now. That's wild. And then he's moved over to the Storm, and got 18 in 22 minutes at the back end of last year, around 16. So 36 meters run, 7 tackles there off the interchange, and then played 10 minutes for 9 points. So had a turnover tackle in his 1 tackle in that game, and 48 meters gained. So not a lot to go off, obviously, with Kane. He's obviously impressed at the Storm and in the Q Cup, so that's good news. Are they just playing him as a starter to see how he can look with the starters, potentially looking for like a bench spot in round 1? They've clearly moved Liero to 13, so I don't know if Kane Bradley is the long-term edge solution, or if Blore is just coming back from injury or anything like that, or they just need him to acclimatize more to the Storm system. He's just going to come off the bench. So let's look at Blore in the trial. He's obviously going to play, given he's named at like 20. So we'll look at Bradley, look at Blore. Really, all that matters here is that he's impressed, Bellamy. And if he gets his spot in round 1 and Blore's nowhere in the 17, then I think that, obviously he's kind of hanging. It looks like if he's named in 20, that means he's like fit enough to be able to name in this trial. If he plays in this trial and is nowhere near the 17 Blore, then Bradley will just be in all our sides. And let's have a look at him in the trial and gauge him off that in that first 40 minutes and the time that he gets on the park, which will be helpful for us. Let's go Salmon, guys. And he's a very, very interesting one to look at, because you look at that PPM of 0.48, and that doesn't excite many people. He has an average of 20 in 40.6 minutes. So he's played a host of games everywhere, obviously, most at 5/8. When he gets a bit of a crack, 30 in 80 minutes. And defensively is what you want to look at here, because he looked very good defensively on the weekend. 20 tackles for 3.4 misses on an edge. So that's something to note, obviously. When he played off the interchange, those tackle numbers do improve. He had 11 tackles for 0.9 misses, and that was playing a mixture of a bit of everywhere, to be honest with you there. 15.6 in 26 minutes. And the big thing with Salmon, guys, is he's never really been fantasy relevant, clearly, in this one. But the way he worked on the weekend, he's obviously he's training as a 13, and that's going to be helpful, whereas before he was kind of training a little bit everywhere, a little bit of edge. He'd come on and play some bench minutes on an edge, right? When you had Sorensen and Liam Martin not playing their full 80. So he would come on and do that. And that's where the tackle numbers are down a little bit. But good to see that for the most part, a lot of these games are edge games off the bench, that he was able to have under 1 missed tackle a game in his whole career, right? Which is really cool. He had 1 bad game in round 11 last year with 6 missed tackles. But outside of that, the highest was 3, and it's mainly 0, 1, and 2. So we're looking more to what he played like last week. And if he can do that again and replicate it, I think that's kind of the new Salmon. He passed really well. I just think it is wild that the Curran is not in this starting side, based on how it looks, obviously, and the sort of lack of top tier quality, which we know what Curran can do. So we will just jump into Curran now. But if Salmon's there in round 1 in the 13 role, you're going to have him in your side at 289. You got Phamsilly, which we'll talk about in a sec, but let's go to Josh Curran now. So I just changed these numbers, guys, to over 40 minutes, under 60 minutes, because I think off the bench, we're likely to see him at about a 50 mark, and that gives you a chance for him to average 39.4, which is 3 and a bit above his current break even. So it wouldn't be the worst thing ever if you still were to hold him and kind of like hope and assume that he gets a starting point, a spot at some point, and sort of play some more minutes at that. Obviously, that's got a couple of second row games on there, which I suppose we can take out as well if we want to. We can go by interchange, and that's a 40.5. We can go by the lock game, and that was a 46. So in the 48 minutes, that one. So really, it's more that it's interchange middles, and he would come on the edge in some of these as well. Just remember that, guys. If there was an injury or something like that, he'd come on and play some decent minutes on the edge, but obviously a lot of it was through the middle as well. So yeah, if you're looking at him, guys, at a minimum, at 50 minutes, it's sort of 3 or 4 points of value, which would still be not a train wreck, with chances of him going to the starting side at some point. We also, it is a trial, guys, and potentially they're just trying to see how Salmon looks in that starting side as a beginning 13. He could play that 13 role for 20 minutes. Curran comes on there. Curran could mix a little bit between the edge. There's a lot of things he can do, and I still think he'll play decent minutes, but the scary side of a bench is that it's not likely to be more than 60, and more of a chance to be around the 50 mark for current. So that's something to think about in your sides. Phamsilly, he's not in the game either. So 4642 is where he's priced at, the beautiful break even at 958. So he has a career PPM of 0.83, which isn't super ideal. He did look better the other day, but the big thing with him, guys, is obviously the minutes. So 23.6 is what he's averaged there. And he's only had a few starting prop games. So in 2021, he had a few there. He had 24 minutes, 32 and a 48 minutes for 28 and 37 was okay. 39 minutes for 28, again, fairly low. 25 minutes for 21, so and 35 for 25. So he can never get above that 1 ppm when he starts. It's really the interchange games where he can get pretty close to that ppm. And you see here 20 and 17, that type of thing in there, 13 of 12, 14 of 11. So that's where his ppm is better, 36 and 32, than it is on the in the starting side. So 50 minutes off the interchange for in 2020, so that's a while ago as well. And hasn't really played much NRL since 2021, where he played a good chunk. So he played the 4 last year, which was helpful, and average around just over 20 in those games there, and in about, what's that? Let's just change that now, make it so we're not guessing. 20 odd minutes, 29 minutes for 22 points. So even if you expect 29 minutes here, 22 points is not going to be enough. He'll be priced at that as well, guys, the 22. So bit of a bump on that, which won't be helpful. Let's get Happy Chorus now, guys. 608k, price of 44. So you're coming off a couple of strange seasons for him, because 2022 he was a 50 average. 2021, again, this is all with the 48 was with the Panthers. So 2023 is what you want to look at, and we do want to really hone in on that last bunch of games. Obviously, they played a little bit better in some of them. They won that awesome game where he kicked the goal. The Roosters won. They got beat 32-80. He still scored well, playing hooker at that one, and then got pumped in that last game, and he still got 60 and did great things. So that's something to sort of help you out in your thoughts there on that one. In that first game, that was 32-18 against the Bunnies, and he got involved in everything. A couple of tries in that back end of the year when he was kicking goals. Obviously, the goals helped there, 2, 3, or 4 in those games. Picked up 3 try assists in that. Tackled fairly well, except for that last game, but he was at halfback in that game there. He kicked the ball plenty in those last things. So yeah, we did see him kick out a dummy half the other day. You probably expect more around the 50 to 60 to 100 mark rather than up here in these halfback numbers. That's for sure. For him to still have good tackle numbers in the halfback position is pretty incredible. Obviously there. So there's definitely an uptick. I think you can get him closer to a 50 mark, but with a buy in round 1, 44 is his where he's priced at. There's still a lot of question marks around the Tigers, and if they can be good. Is he going to be playing 80 minutes? Are we looking at not De Silva, Galvin on the bench? My only thought with that, guys, is that maybe like Sullivan moves into a little bit of 9, and Coruscant comes off for a little bit there potentially in that one, and Galvin comes on in the halves. Potentially a thought, but yeah, just general thoughts on Happy, guys. Definitely enough worries to leave him out for sure, and go for like a Robson or go for Grant or something like that is easy to do. And then Jacob Alik, guys, is the finisher in this one. Again, just don't panic. If you are interested in the one-to-one help come team lists and after trials and all this kind of stuff, the private group guys are going to be getting all that one-to-one help, especially when things like this shit hits the fan, that's for sure. Then I can be there to assist, and obviously you've got these videos here, but I won't be able to help you with your individual teams, unfortunately. So that's where the big thing is, and obviously all the competitions that we have available in there. So big thanks to you guys for watching all these. It's been a cracking February, that's for sure. But with Jacob there, 60 off the bench there in 60 minutes, and worked really hard, 124 meters, 34 tackles. Had some lower minute games here for lower points as well, so we can't look at him as a guy that you can completely rely on. He also has the buy in round 2. If he is starting in round 1 for Dave Fafita, he gets probably a couple of good games, maybe the Dragons game and the Dogs game. Physio reckons that he might end up closer back to round 3, 4 at worst. So that's only a couple of games, and I just don't think that Alik, considering he had some good scores last year, he did average 23.8. That's likely where he's going to be priced at. So when he gets put in the game. Again, not in the top 30, has been named to start, so they'll probably upgrade him. And that will be it. But yeah, anyway, we'll leave this video there, guys. Thanks heaps for jumping on. We do have a lot of videos coming out. It's funny. We made made like 4 with Scoop the other day, the last 3 teams, and we did a little team reveal as well. So we'll see how much of the of his team is likely to change. But yeah, we'll probably still pop it out and have a bit of a laugh about how much that changes. That's for sure over this time. But yeah, we got all those videos coming out. Probably 2 a day until team list or close to it, guys. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. It's getting full on at this time, but I know you guys, thank you, and I appreciate you guys loving the content, and we'll keep it coming. That's for sure. And we'll load up over the season as well. See you guys.